In a move that has sent shockwaves across West Africa, U.S. President Donald Trump has unveiled sweeping changes to non-immigrant visa rules that would drastically limit travel to America for citizens of both Nigeria and Ghana. The unprecedented restrictions, which took effect on July 8, 2025, have left officials and ordinary citizens in both nations reeling as they scramble to understand how their long-standing access to the United States has suddenly been curtailed under the banner of visa reciprocity. The announcement marks a turning point in U.S. Africa relations, igniting debate about fairness, diplomacy, and the true motivations behind the Trump administration's latest immigration clampdown. Now let's start with Nigeria. The new policy is brutally clear in its intent and impact. Most non-immigrant and non-official visa applicants from Nigeria will now only be issued single-entry visas valid for just 3 months. Now, this represents a staggering rollback from previous years when Nigerian travelers, whether tourists, students, or business people, typically received multiple entry visas valid for 2 to 5 years. These old visas allowed them to enter and exit the US multiple times within the validity period, providing them with much needed flexibility for family visits, academic pursuits, business ventures, and emergency situations. But now, a single trip is all they get, after which they must start the entire visa process from scratch. What does this mean in real-world terms? A Nigerian student studying in the US on a F1 visa, for example, will no longer be able to return home for the holidays or visit family mid-semester without first reapplying for a brand new visa. Business people accustomed to shuttling between Lagos and New York to manage international operations will face frustrating new bureaucratic loops for each visit, repeating the application process, paying new fees, and possibly enduring long interview wait times. In essence, travel from Nigeria to the United States has just become a high-stakes, one-shot affair. Ghana has not been spared either. According to the U.S. Department of State's Bureau of Consular Affairs, most Ghanaian applicants, especially those seeking B-class visas for tourism or business, or F1 student visas, are now only subject to single-entry visas valid for 3 months. Just like their Nigerian counterparts, they will be forced to apply afresh for every new trip. Previously, many Ghanaians were eligible for long-term multiple entry visas, allowing them to visit and return at will over a span of years. That era is now over. The only Ghanaian applicants exempt from these harsh new restrictions are holders of A-class diplomatic visas, which will still allow multiple entries over 24 to 60 months, and certain fiancé and spouse visa categories like the K1, K2, K3, and K4 visas, which have retained their original entry privileges. But for the vast majority of ordinary citizens, especially students and business travelers, the rules have changed dramatically and not in their favor. Now, what makes this move even more controversial is how it departs from long-standing US visa policies that were once seen as generous towards many African nations. Until now, Nigerian and Ghanaian travelers, like many others from developing nations, relied heavily on multiple entry visas to build careers, maintain cross-border families, or simply stay connected with loved ones and opportunities abroad. The new restrictions strip away this flexibility, injecting uncertainty, inconvenience, and significant new costs in the travel experience. So why is President Trump doing this? According to the US government, The answer lies in something called visa reciprocity. In plain terms, the Trump administration claims it is merely aligning America's visa rules with the treatment its citizens receive in Nigeria and Ghana. Since Nigerian and Ghanaian visa policies do not grant long-term multiple entry visas to Americans, the US is now reciprocating by doing the same. Officials from the US State Department described the policy as a reciprocity adjustment, implying that it is a balancing act rather than a punishment. But many observers aren't buying it. Now, critics argue that the policy feels less like reciprocity and more like retribution. They question the timing of the decision. Why now? Why these two countries? Why such an abrupt and sweeping change without bilateral consultation or warning? And if the goal is fairness, should the US not first engage diplomatically with African governments to explore reforms rather than springing drastic consequences on ordinary travelers who have no control over their country's visa rules? For Nigerians and Ghanaians seeking to travel to the US, the ripple effects of this new reality will be deeply felt. Costs will skyrocket as applicants are forced to reapply for each new trip. Business deals may collapse under the weight of travel delays. Students may reconsider studying in a country that won't let them go home and return freely. Families may struggle with separation as frequent travel becomes logistically difficult and financially burdensome. The emotional toll could be just as heavy as the financial one. From President Trump's perspective, this move aligns with his broader immigration agenda, one that emphasizes control, reciprocity, and in some cases, deterrence. His administration has long championed tighter borders and tougher visa policies, arguing that such measures protect American interests and force foreign governments to play fair. In that light, the visa restrictions fit neatly into a pattern seen across Trump's foreign policy: confrontational, transactional, and unapologetically unilateral. But from the viewpoint of Nigeria and Ghana, the decision stinks. Both countries have historically maintained strong diplomatic and economic ties with the US, often serving as gateways for American engagement in West Africa. Nigeria is America's largest trading partner in sub-Saharan Africa, and Ghana has been hailed as a stable democracy with a vibrant diaspora community. To suddenly be hit with restrictive travel policies feels like a betrayal and raises uncomfortable questions about whether Africa is being taken seriously as a partner or merely being disciplined for not falling in line. Other African nations are watching closely. Many worry that similar restrictions could be coming their way if they, too, are deemed non-reciprocal in their visa arrangements with the US. The Trump administration's move could trigger a diplomatic chain reaction, as African countries consider retaliating by limiting US citizen access to their own borders. At the very least, it signals a new era in U.S. Africa relations, one defined less by cooperation and more by cold calculation. In the end, this policy shift is not just about visas. It's about power, perception, and how nations choose to treat one another. President Trump may argue that he is simply demanding fairness. But fairness, many would argue, must go both ways. Should ordinary students and business travelers suffer because of policy mismatches they didn't create? Is tit-for-tat diplomacy really the most productive way to build lasting relationships between nations? As Nigerian and Ghanaian citizens now face a future of limited access to the American dream, one thing is clear: travel is no longer just about planes and paperwork. It's become a front line in global contest of values, politics, and power. The real cost may be measured not in dollars, but in dignity. Your perspective matters. What do you make of the new non-immigrant visa restrictions Trump has just imposed on Nigeria and Ghana? Share your thoughts and insights in the comment section below. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to the New Africa channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our informative future videos. Stay informed, stay engaged, and thank you for watching.